very special episode of the Mind Grind podcast. I'm your host, Gene Meyer. With me today is Igor Amadeus Cavalera.
Hell yeah. Thank you for having me, Gene. Happy to be here.
Of course. So I want to start off with a question that I think a lot of people would be interested in, which is, why do you still have an AOL email?
Dude, I've had it since I was like 13. I think I made my MySpace page with it or something.
Yes.
Like ages ago. And I literally just have so many things linked with it now that, like, to make a new email would give me a mental crisis to have to, like, update every app and, like, subscription and every single thing that I have. So I just roll with it, man. I don't even care anymore. Like, it works and it gets the job done. So who cares? You know what I mean?
Does it still make those like classic like AOL Messenger sounds when you get a new email?
It does. Yeah. If I have the ringer on when the app is open, it will make those funny noises.
That's a throwback, man.
I think it's nostalgia too. It's like I did grow up already, but I don't want to grow up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fighting it off.
Exactly.
So, first thing I started, I asked this of everyone, and there's a little, I'm very curious about your answer with this is, how did you get into metal in the first place?
Well, a lot of you probably know I had a foot in through my family. My dad being who he is, my mom being a metal manager of many bands, aside from the stuff my dad did. But personally, I took a liking to like Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath and bands like that when I was a kid. And, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of just spawned from there and went into like a million different directions. I found Celtic Frost and I found, Venom and like that kind of stuff. And then I went even more extreme with like Morbid Angel and Deicide, and then eventually found grindcore, Napalm Death and Carcass and Brutal Truth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just in a family of music, like all types of different music. My dad was into metal. My brothers were into 90s hip hop and new metal and things like that. You know what I mean? So I just grew up with it around me, but it was natural. Like, it was never forced. It was never, it was never like stuffed down my throat in any way. You know what I mean? Even despite, being a Cavalera or whatever, like, it was totally natural. Like, I actually did just like it as a kid. And I was definitely like that weird little creepy kid into metal and horror and Lord of the Rings and shit like that. And in the early 2000s, like, in my opinion, that shit was not cool at all.
No.
You know what I mean? So I like it. I think the same, like a lot of people, it gave me a sense of belonging in a world of feeling a little alienated from everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, not much different than anybody else's, I think it always starts with like the big three, which is like Sabbath, Maiden, and Judas Priest for like a lot of people, and yeah, once again, MySpace era, like you could look up one band and just branch into like 90 others. And so, I spent a lot of time on the computer, just like looking new shit up all the time.
And was there, so the follow-up, I asked, how do people get into metal? But then it's, how did you get into extreme metal? And whether it be like grindcore or like brutal death metal or power violence or whatever.
Yeah. I think, like getting sparked with those early bands, led to that like trickle effect or whatever you want to call it, Celtic Frost was really the first one where I was like, okay, this is like the next step from Maiden and Sabbath and like the late 60s, 70s metal bands, Celtic Frost was where I was like, this is sick. You know what I mean? And I also think Celtic Frost should be mentioned just for influencing every type of extreme metal. I don't think you'd have black metal or death metal or even like the more extreme types of thrash without Celtic Frost. Um, so that was a band that did it for me. And then thrash I went through pretty quickly into death metal, and then death metal was sort of where I was like, man, this is like hitting the nail on the head right here.
Yeah.
And then even more so with grindcore. Like once I heard probably like Scum or Symphonies of Sickness from Carcass, one of the like those were probably my first like really grind records I heard. That was where I was just like, dude, this is it. You know, I was like, this is like, you can't really go any more than this naturally, like with a drummer and a real guitar player and whatever. Like, you can't, I don't think it gets faster or crazier or anything without becoming like electronic to a degree, you know?
Yeah.
So that really piqued my interest a lot, where I was just like, grind was just like, dude, these dudes are flying, you know what I mean? And I was definitely, like I said, as that weird little kid, I like to skate. I like to like, I don't know. It all went together for me at a young age, you know, like skating, fast music, being a shithead.
Yeah, baby.
You know what I mean? Like just causing trouble with my friends, being in the streets, skating and biking and doing shit like that, you know? Yeah. So that ended up being a little long winded, but Celtic Frost was like the portal to all that shit. And then before I knew it, I was like listening to grind and just totally like enthralled by it, you know?
Hell yeah. I did someone else's podcast the other day, and they asked me what is the appeal of grind. And to me, it's like a logical extreme.
Yeah.
You know, like you grow up and you discover like Metallica, and you're like, I want it faster and heavier, and then Slayer, and then Cannibal Corpse. And then for me, it was Pig Destroyer. It was like,
nice.
Oh, this is like the heaviest music can possibly be.
Yeah. No, I mean, especially those early ones. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just seeking that little adrenaline rush, just more and more and more until you reach that point. And I told them, you know, the only thing that's like arguably heavier is like harsh noise.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't really have the patience to sit and listen to like a dishwasher for like 3.5 hours.
Dude, we're in agreement there. I like songs. I like riffs. Yeah. I like some type of structure, even if it's a chaotic structure. I can appreciate harsh noise when it's like balanced with music. You know, like I think Full of Hell does a really good job of it, and they have for fucking like a decade now. But yeah, harsh noise on its own is a bit of a drag for me. I think it needs to be complemented with riffs and drum beats and things like that. But yeah, I know grind is like I don't know. It is like the most extreme you can go. And I mean, there's tons of people will argue semantics over little things like that. But to me, I'm just like, nah, man, you're not gonna, like, I'm stubborn. I'm 30 years old. I've been listening to this shit since I was like 14. And I'm not gonna change my mind now. You know what I mean? Like,
are there any current grind bands that you're really digging?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Here in Phoenix, actually some homies of mine, they're called Groin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're amazing. I had the pleasure of seeing them a couple times a year because they're local, and you know, they're also just good guys, dude. They do a lot of like benefit shows and are super supportive of the local scene, and like just really appreciative of all the support and love that they get. So that's always a big one for me too. You know, if you're a good band, that's awesome. But if you're good people on top of that, like, all the better. So yeah, I definitely got to shout out Groin. Yeah, I mean, that would probably be my favorite off the top of my head right now. I would think anything else I could name are kind of established bands who have done recent releases like Rotten Sound or Shitstorm or bands like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, as of just actual new bands, definitely Groin.
Excellent. And here's my follow-up. What is the craziest thing you've ever seen at a show, whether it's a show you're playing or just a show you've gone to?
Dude, honestly, yeah, I'm gonna mention we were just in Australia like a week ago doing Nailbomb, which is a whole can of worms I can get into later. But anyways, we were like 5 songs in, and if you're familiar with Nailbomb, there's a lot of samples and like interludes and things like that. So we're like taking a drink and breathing in between songs, and all of a sudden our bass player Jackie is like, she's kind of screaming at me. She's like, "Hey, stop, stop!" And I'm like, "What the fuck's going on?" You know what I mean? So a woman had come over the barricade and like just split her head on the floor. And
Yeah.
you see that typically, you know what I mean? Like it's not out of the question to see that happen. But what I had never seen before was the security guards and like medical staff that were on site checking her pulse on her neck.
Jesus.
And I was sitting there and I was just like, man, um, did somebody just die at our show right now? Like you can laugh about it now because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I was like, it's the only time I've ever stopped on stage like that for 5, maybe 10 minutes even. You know what I mean? In the middle of a set, people freaking out. There's always some assholes yelling like "keep playing" and this and that, and you're trying to be like, dude, this lady might not be alive right now. They're checking her pulse, dude. Like maybe we could all just chill out for a second. And very thankfully, she stood up, like gave us the horns, and like
God.
we just kept playing. So I mean that's just one of many. I mean obviously I could probably go back and think of more stuff, but that was the first time I started playing in bands when I was like 15. So I'm going on 15, 16 years now doing this stuff. Like that was the first time I thought somebody died at one of my shows, and that was one of the craziest feelings in my life. Was what do you do?
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like what? Like, do you stop the show? Do you make an announcement? Do you wait for them to cart her out of the build? Like, what do you do? You know what I mean? You're standing there just like, holy shit, this is insane right now. Other than that, I'd say the craziest thing I've ever seen was like Napalm Death playing for 3 people in Phoenix one time when I was a teenager, which I was like astounded there was like that many people there. Lo and behold, I found out it was a due to lack of promotion on the promoter's side, not obviously not Napalm Death's fault. But I've seen some great bands with like barely anybody there, and to me, that's the craziest fucking thing you could ever see. Because it's like, where are you? Clearly, these guys play massive festivals and do some very big things. Otherwise, you know what I mean? Like, where are the people?
Well, I don't know what your experience is, but music can be very humbling when you go or you have one show where you're like, oh my God, there's so many people, they're so into it. And then the next night you play Erie, Pennsylvania, and there's like 5 people there, and you're like, I'm wasting my life. I should go back to school, all that shit.
No, I think part of being a musician is always thinking about quitting and doing something more professional. You know what I mean? It's just part of it, and I really do understand you there, because I'm in 5 bands, so everything from like I play bass in Cavalera, where we do some very major professional, like whatever, like high production shit with a lot of people there every night. All the way to like my sludge band Healing Magic, which is 100% DIY. Mm-hmm. Every show we do, I put together myself. In the same month last year, I played Sonic Temple, which was like, I don't know, 20,000 people, 25,000 people or something. And I also played the Jet in San Bernardino to 2 bartenders. So, baby. You know what I mean? It's like, you do have to be willing to accept the highs and lows that come with it. And to be honest, man, sometimes like those shows with like 8 people in it are super fun and humbling. And you need to realize like even legends sometimes get a shitty promoter that doesn't get people in the house. Even after 30 years of doing it, you might pull up somewhere and people literally don't know you're playing there. You know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. And you got to be ready for it. I think I heard somebody say once, like, if you're going to be an artist of any format or medium or whatever, you need to be ready to sleep on a park bench. You know what I mean? And like, that's just the realest shit ever. Like, there's no guarantee to any of this, but that's also like the love of it and the risk and the just everything, I think that's why we do it. We have to be at least a little bit insane.
Yeah. Actually, so we toured the UK like 2 or 3 years ago. We played our friend's engagement party in Manchester, and there was like 200 people, and it was awesome. And it was like,
Nice.
oh, it's amazing. And the next night was a Sunday. We played in Nottingham, and it was raining. And there was like 5 people there, and a guy in the front actually fell asleep during our set.
It's amazing.
He was like, and I was like, I'm not gonna be an asshole and wake him up, even though we're like, our thing.
Blasting 5 feet from his face.
Yeah, hey, it just fucking happens. So okay, what are the 5 bands you play in? Nailbomb.
Yeah, Nailbomb. I've been doing guitar, and I do Alex Newport's parts because he doesn't want to do it anymore. With his blessing too. I've talked with him personally. He's very supportive of me doing it, which that's just for the trolls out there that always have to say something about it. But yeah, I play bass in Cavalera. I'm going on like 3 years or so doing that. We did the re-recordings of Bestial Devastation, Morbid Visions, and Schizophrenia. Toured those. I'm in a band called Go Ahead and Die, which is me and my dad doing kind of, I don't know if I'd say it's a full-fledged grind band, but it certainly has a lot of grind elements. There's a lot of blast beats and D beats and things like that. And then I'm also in sludge band, Healing Magic. Like I said, that would be kind of neurosis-y, acid bathy, I hate God-ish type stuff. And then the 5th band I'm in is actually still just kind of under wraps because we're working on it. But I can tell you it's sort of like a noise rock, raw punk type of thing. So yeah, those are the 5 bands I'm in. I listen to a lot of different stuff, and I like to play a lot of different stuff. And I think trying to hit so many categories with one band would just be impossible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's everything I do.
So I'm sure, like, I get this question a lot, like, what's your favorite? What's your favorite? And I fucking hate that. I don't know what.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to ask that, but I will ask this. What do you do to practice?
Honestly, I mean, I mostly do picking practice.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like Hetfield and even my dad, like
down the whole time.
Yeah, dude. Even like Johnny Ramone was actually a really early influence of mine when I was a kid, and yeah, his down picking was like the sickest. I always, I don't know why, I've just always been kind of one of like those have a super strong picking hand is more important than being able to do crazy fretting stuff. Shredding and stuff like that isn't really what I've ever been going for either. So I don't really sit around and practice scales and do things like that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm kind of an oddball with my guitar playing. I like a lot of dissonant stuff. I like gross sounding chords, sad sounding chords, melancholic things. So I really just sit around and try to be like, I've never tried putting these 3 like finger positions together. Let's see. Okay, that sounds like shit. Let's try these 3 instead. That sounds like shit. Okay, this one. There we go. That's a cool sounding chord. It's kind of weird. I don't think a lot of people are doing stuff like that. There's also just the lost art of ripping things off, which is very real. Learning songs is going to teach you chords that you didn't know. And it doesn't mean you're going to use them the exact same as the song that inspired you or whatever. And realistically, I mean, the way I look at music, like there's only 12 notes that exist. And don't get me wrong, there's like millions of different ways you can put those 12 notes together. But at the end of the day, like you're hearing something else, it's inspiring you, you come up with something, that's what it is, you know? And mind you, there's a fine line between like inspiration and imitation.
Yeah.
I think being inspired is a good thing. I think imitating is a bad thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when it comes to practice, man, I really just like, I kind of just dick around and like look for weird sounding chords and things I maybe haven't thought of, or I sit with my pedals and put them into weird
Yeah.
like effects, and like all of a sudden like I turn my flanger into like a tremolo where it's like blah, 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 like doing some weird shit like that, and I'm just like, whoa, that's kind of cool. Like let's take a video, even like the memes, it's like when your girl goes through your phone thinking you're talking to somebody, but it's just like 900 videos of you playing guitar badly.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely me, and vocally I don't really practice a whole lot, to be honest. I think the most I practiced was when I was getting ready to do the Nailbomb stuff, because that was the first time I was ever trying to like emulate somebody else. You know what I mean? That was where I was actually singing along to a record a lot, or I guess screaming along to a record a lot and like trying to find it. But I only started doing vocals because when I was a teenager, nobody else wanted to. So I was just like, sure, guys, I'll embarrass myself being the vocalist because you're all scared to do that, know?
Yeah.
And it took me a while. I'd say probably 7 or 8 years before I was actually like, I think I know what I'm doing. I don't feel like I'm frying my voice anymore. I don't feel like I'm like the first couple of tours I did, I was like this. By the end of it, I was like, I can't talk, Yeah. And now, I can get through like a 45-minute set or whatever, night after night and still be able to talk and function and whatever. But yeah, I mean, to me, the most important thing that you can practice is like finding your style. And like, I don't remember who I heard it from, but it was something along the lines of like, there's no point strengthening something you're not good at or you don't enjoy doing. You need to strengthen the thing that you like about yourself and like what you're going for, more importantly. And I don't know if that applies to everything, I don't know if I'd apply that to your physical fitness or anything like that, but like I think when it comes to creating art, like, yeah, you need to really just like hone in on what you want and what you feel like you're good at and just go with that, because not everybody is gonna cover everything, so most important things is practice being yourself.
Yeah. I think so. Procrastination, we tend to procrastinate the things that we just don't want to do.
Yeah.
So, and I work with a lot of people with ADHD, and they do this weird thing where they're like, well, I'm going to do the thing I least want to do first. I'm going to force myself to do that.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you're like kind of sucking all the fun out of it.
Yeah.
So my advice is like, whatever you want to do it, because you'll be motivated. And then maybe the momentum, like if you really like putting down the guitar first, putting down the guitar tracks and then the drums and shit, then put down the guitar tracks.
Yeah.
And maybe the fun and spontaneity of that will like, oh, okay, now we'll lay down the drums and we'll do this shit. People just like to, especially with something like practice, they like to like torture themselves, it seems.
Yeah. Like. No, for sure. Yeah. And also as someone I've been through quite a bit of therapy, court ordered as a child and then voluntarily as an adult. Whatever works for you, do it. It's not like, it's not a thing of set rules and structure as much as people want to make it out to be. Like, whatever weird little thing works for you, do it. You know what I mean? And like you said, like sometimes making torture out of something is going to like sap you of the energy you have towards it. And yeah, exactly. When you do it the way that's fun to you and you do it the way that you enjoy, then you're probably going to get a second wind to keep going with it, and you're probably going to feel even more motivation. um it's like the snowball theory, like positive stuff will turn to more positive stuff, negative stuff will turn to more negative stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like if you get off on the right foot, then go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, don't feel like it needs to be harder than it needs to. You can make it any way you want to.
Exactly. So this leads naturally into my next question is, and this is like open ended. So what what does mental health mean to you? What role has it played in your life? Has it, influenced your art at all?
Oh, it certainly influences everything I do. Um, I've had some issues with mental health over the years. I've struggled with addiction and things like that. I started drinking and doing drugs at like a really young age. Took me a very long time to kind of get a cap on that. Even now, I haven't touched alcohol or hard drugs or anything like that in almost 2 years.
Right.
Which is it's awesome, and it gave me clarity and blah blah blah. But no, I mean mental health is really important, and it's one of those things you don't like realize how important it is until you're kind of sinking in the sand from it, And as I said, I've done therapy, I've done things like that to deal with just depression, anxiety, old feeling like shit itis, as I call it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, to me, like the music and writing and lyrics and all of that stuff is a healthy outlet for it. And I think that's what draws me towards music and stuff like that so much is as I said earlier, like being into that stuff in the early 2000s definitely made you kind of a weirdo. I mean, I had friends, but none of them shared those interests with me.
Yeah.
And they definitely all thought I was like kind of a dork for it. And so like that, like I said, it just gave me a sense of belonging. It gave me a sense of like, um, just expression and freedom that I never really knew I would have had without it. Not to mention, I was diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 2. So I was sick a lot as a kid. And like music and books and video games and things like that like kept me sane when I was like sick, you know what I mean, and couldn't leave my room or couldn't go out hang out with my friends, whatever, you know what I mean. So like that was a big part of it for me, is like I really wanted to create stuff, and maybe like some 14-year-old getting into music is going to listen to my stuff and it's going to help him when he's like stuck in his room or whatever. Maybe he's sick, or maybe he's in trouble, or maybe he's, you know, just going through some shit, because kids go through shit just like adults do. So yeah, in terms of inspiring and stuff, the whole second Go Ahead and Die record was about mental health. The album's called Unhealthy Mechanisms, and it's basically about the unhealthy shit that we do to deal with life and cope with mental health. And it hits every topic from paranoia to panic to depression to drug use to, you know what I mean, suicidal thoughts, ideations, things like that. And getting to write that with my dad was really cool. Cause he just like anybody else, he struggles with stuff too. And it was this awesome bonding moment for us to just be totally transparent about like the ways we're feeling and thinking and things like that. So like, yeah, I'm very blessed to get to do this stuff and to work on music. And to me, it is absolutely like this awesome outlet for mental health issues and things like that. And also just like in a weird way, it's the importance of like talking about it and being open about it and everything, and for even anybody out there watching, you can message me, or I'm sure you can message you too. And I see you posted all the time on your page, like, that you do counseling and things like that. And I think that's awesome. That's actually a big thing that made me want to talk to you as well.
Cool.
Not only are you funny and you like music and stuff, but like I said, I appreciate people who do good things, and I try to do good things, and I try to gravitate and surround myself with other people that do things like that too. So yeah, mental health is very important and very prevalent. And I mean, without even getting to a million things about society right now, like
Yeah.
it's a crazy world, and it is totally valid to feel like crashing out sometimes because, like, dude, how could you not? Like, but it's healthier to put on some music
Yeah.
and like punch dance in your apartment and like do whatever you need to. Like, I actually scream into pillows. That's kind of my thing.
That's a good
I
one.
grab my pillow, I throw it over my face, and I scream at the top of my lungs. And you feel so much better afterwards. So whatever you got to do, it's healthier than drugs, alcohol, things like that. You know what I mean? Like, music is always a better alternative than any of those things, and that's why I continue to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you kind of answered it already, but my follow up is, what do you do to take care of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, outside of screaming into pillows and punch
Yeah.
dancing and this and that, I live in Arizona, and hiking is like, I mean, we get made fun of it because that's like all people here do. Realistically, especially if you grew up here. I mean, even as kids, we used to hike to go do bad stuff. We
Yes.
used to go hike out into the desert to like smoke pot and do shit like that. You know what I mean? But now I do it from a more, peaceful nature. Like, I kind of take my time. I'm in no rush. I go hike. I take pictures. I look at bugs. I look at plants.
Yeah. Yeah, baby.
Like lizards, snakes, things like that. I'm a big advocate of the desert. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, the desert is like my happy place.
Mhm.
So that's a big one for me. Just general physical health uh, is important. You know what I mean? Just getting outside and taking care of your body, and especially as a performer, because it's like I get on stage and I get a rush of adrenaline, and next thing you know, I'm like rolling around on the ground and jumping off of things, and my body likes to be like, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
you're gonna be 31 this year," which, I mean, you're not like an old man, but you're also not a spring chicken either. Like, you're gonna hurt if you don't take care of yourself. So that stuff's important to me. I read a lot. Other than music, books are like my life. You know what I mean? I try to read every single day if I can. Because I have a hard time meditating. A lot of people advocate for meditating, but I through many years have tried and failed at it. But I noticed the closest I can get is reading, where like I lay flat, my brain focuses on one thing, I don't think about anything else, everything else kind of shuts off for me. Which, once again, whatever works for you, keep doing it. So yeah, I mean, just general physical health, reading, like keeping my brain stimulated on something. Try to eat good, cook meals for myself, things like that. Obviously, I still have a couple bad habits. I smoke a little bit off and on, and once in a while I get a little burned out from tour, and I don't go on my hikes, and I don't do things like that.
It happens.
But yeah, it's you got to understand burnout as well,
Yep.
which is a big part of it. So yeah, sometimes after 6 weeks on the road, you get home and you're like, dude, I'm not doing nothing for like at least 10 days. You know what I mean? Like, you got to take time to rest as well as do things. So just, yeah, finding that balance between activity and rest, I notice for me is like the most important thing. And socializing, seeing friends and family and doing things like that. Which it sounds like a lot when you say it all that way, but realistically, I mean, that's just life. You know what I mean? Like, you got to juggle all these different things to make the machine work.
Absolutely. So, what do you have going on right now, music wise? Because 5 bands, some are active, some are pre-active.
Yeah,
a little hard to
definitely.
track. your Metal Archives page is very interesting.
Oh, I didn't even know I have one.
Yeah,
I'll have to look it up.
yeah. I have it. I mean, we could go over it now if you
He's all pull it up right now.
like.
No,
Bring it up,
don't
baby.
embarrass me like that. No,
No,
I'm
no,
kidding.
I won't. I won't.
Yeah, actually, okay. So crazy enough, right now I have, I actually have a couple months off from touring. I don't go on the road again until June. Which it's the first time since like 2023 I've been home for more than a month or two. Last year alone, I played between 110, 120 shows. I was on when you count the travel days and days off and things like that, I was gone for basically 6 months, give or take a little bit of change, and yeah, 2024, the year before was very similar. I that year I actually did one tour alone that was 66 shows. So yeah, I was getting the burnout pretty hard by the end of last year. So yeah, now I have some time off. That doesn't mean I'm completely inactive. I'm actually recording with Healing Magic in March, about a month from now, and fuck it, we're not on a label. We actually don't owe anyone any secrets or explanations. We're gonna record with Philip Cope from Kylesa, and I'm really excited about that because Kylesa is one of my favorite bands of all time. So I'm so excited to have him engineering and kind of co-producing it with us. And then in May, Healing Magic's actually opening up for Acid Bath here in Phoenix. Another just amazing thing happening for that band. Fu Manchu is also on that show. So for me, I'm just like, a 16-year-old Igor is really freaking out about this right now. So yeah, those are the kind of things I have at home right now. And then yeah, June is like my next tour. We're doing Chaos AD with Cavalera in Europe.
Oh shit!
So yeah, we just did a run of that back in October. Nice. with Fear Factory. And actually, Genocide Pact was on part of it too. Which
oh my god!
Yeah, are you from Baltimore, DMV, or
I'm from Philly, but I know Tim.
Same, yeah.
I know that whole crew. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it right now, completely unrelated, but like I love the DMV scene more than anything on the planet. I think you know Travis, who plays in Pig Destroyer now.
Yeah.
I met Travis when we were both like 16 when he was with Noisem. And through him, I basically met the whole DMV scene. And I love all those guys. I love Genocide Pact. Honestly, the Nailbomb lineup is half of Pig Destroyer with me and my dad and Jackie, which is 3/4 of Go Ahead and Die. So we very regularly source musicians out of that scene. Chris Moore played a couple of shows with us. We even used Demir from Goetia, and he used to be in Genocide Pact as well. So I just love those dudes. I love that whole scene. I'm just going to mention that right now. But anyways, back to what we were talking about. Yeah, we're going to do Chaos AD in Europe, and we're doing like the festival circuit summer extravaganza, which is like, in my own opinion, it's like the funnest, most stressful couple months of your life ever. We're doing Download, we're doing Hellfest, we're doing like a couple of those like really massive ones, which, like I said, they're awesome, but you're also sort of sitting around all day just shitting bricks. At least I am. And I've done it a couple of times. Like we did Walk-In last year, and we did Bloodstock, and I did Grass Pop with Cavalera before. No matter how many times you do it, when there's that many people out there, you're still just sitting there like, okay, man, I gotta get my shit together right now. I gotta get ready to go out there and like not fuck it up and not break my leg and not like just have something go completely wrong. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's the next like major tour I'm doing. And then later in the year, we have some little secret surprises coming out that I can't say too much about. But it's going to be really cool.
Okay.
People are really going to like it.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
I'm excited about it, and I'm sure everyone else will be when it gets announced. But yeah, so this year is actually a little chiller for me. I don't think I'm going to play 120 shows and
Yeah, it's a lot.
go crazy like I did last year. More time writing and recording and doing things like that, which yeah, I'm excited to do that as well, you know.
All right, and my last question, because I like to end on a light note. What makes you laugh?
Oh man, everything. Honestly, no, I'm honestly, I'm so into brain rot, like Instagram humor, like it could be like a picture of like a cat riding a shark with like a machine gun, and I'm just like, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, like I notice the things like when we're on tour and all the guys are together, we absolutely laugh about the times we were just totally suffering in the past.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like that's like a pastime
Yeah.
where, you know, in those moments nobody's laughing.
Yeah.
Everyone is so serious. It's like, dude, fuck this. I'm never doing this again. I'm quitting. But like 3 months later, we're on the next tour and we're literally like, dude, remember that time the heat went out in Buffalo and we were like literally freezing to death and we all like slap hands and we're just like, that was great, and like totally laugh about it. Like, I don't know, to me, that is like the funniest stuff is like, it is the suffering and the insanity that you go through. And even like we just traveled back from Australia, which was like 30 hours of travel, and by the end you're so delirious that everything is funny, you know what I mean? You could be getting totally violated by TSA and you're just laughing about it at that point because like you're just so out of your mind. But I also think just like the human spirit in general, at least for me, you have to laugh about things after the fact to like process it, you know what I mean? Because if I don't laugh about it, I'm only going to see the negativity in it.
Yeah.
And that's a horrible way to live, you know? So yeah, I mean, for me, like the funniest shit to me is just sitting around with the boys and just like, I mean, not only making fun of each other, which we do a lot of that as well, but yeah, man, just shooting the shit about like the good old days and the crazy stuff that we've been through and survived and are still here to tell the tale about, you know, like that will always get me going.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. I mean, really, really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to plug before we finish?
Yeah, I mean, just once again, stuff with Healing Magic. Like I said, that's definitely my more on the DIY band. So I try to get as much promotion with that as I can. We're not on a label. We're not cool. You know what I mean? So just check us out. And like I said, we have a new album coming out and we're playing with Acid Bath and Fu Manchu in May. So, you know, if you can make it to that, cool. If not, I'm sure there's going to be YouTube videos and things like that. And, yeah, I mean, otherwise, just check out my mini bands. Come see me on the road. Come say hi. I'm usually standing outside the venue, smoking or chatting with some people. So just walk up to me and say hello. You know what I mean? And you know, looking forward to seeing people out there.
Well, Igor, thank you so much. This has been another episode of the Mind Grind podcast, and yeah, take care, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Gene.